Now, morally, is it okay to make a Fast and Furious movie? Well, the last time I checked, they weren't forcing anyone to pay to watch one. So if it's voluntary and it's not making anything worse, then I think morally you're off the hook. I don't think it's okay to market cigarettes. I don't think it's okay to open a vape store. I don't think it's okay to dump stuff in the river because those hurt people. You're trading money to be a bad person. But in the case of film, film has no promise, guarantee that every single film you make is going to open people's eyes and expand their horizons in ways that no one else could imagine. You can do that if you want, but you're also allowed to just let people have a pleasant Sunday afternoon. So I think morally you're off the hook, but we need clarity. Because if you set out to do something in film that has never been done before, and you make 7 Fast and Furious movies in a row, well, now you're being incoherent, and you're going to die with your dreams inside of you.
You used the phrase off the hook. Let's now recontextualize that phrase, and you talk about being on the hook and why on the hook is where you want to be. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so fish don't like to be on the hook for understandable reasons. Very few good things happen if you're on the hook and you're a fish. But creators, that's the only place we can be. Because what it means to be on the hook is you made a promise to somebody and now you have to keep it. What it means to be on the hook is that you claimed something and now you have to deliver. And so our goal as generous creators is to be able to go to the people we serve and say, please put me on the hook. I will make this promise if you will give me a chance to keep it.
What's the difference between, like, if I've got a video on Vimeo that's on private and public, how do I know when I should be on the hook or off, private or public?
Right.
That's hard.
Right. So what's it for, right? If the goal of a video is for 8 people to engage with it in a way that takes them to a new place, it should be on private, and you should invite those 8 people to see it. If the goal of the video is to spread to people you have no contact with, if its goal is to bump into people who don't expect it and who aren't necessarily engaging in a bargain with you, then it needs to be in public. But you got to be really clear about what you're going to do with the feedback you get.
I wouldn't say I'm an overnight success. Maybe just the opposite. I wonder if there is such a thing. I would call myself more of a work in progress. I wake up every day in a new competition with myself. The real question is, can I look in the mirror and say, I like this guy? Can I answer honestly that I'm a little bit better today than I was yesterday? If the answer is yes, I'm winning. I believe life is about our own personal record. Simple idea, but actually really hard to do. Because it doesn't feel like anything worth doing ever comes easy for me. But maybe that's one way you know what really matters. Here's another example. I've been on YouTube for 9 years, and this year we reached a milestone. Finally. It took me 9 years to do what this little 7-year-old did probably in just a few hours. Now with that said, we've also had some success.
And do you remember what you told me? You remember that advice that you gave me?
It's out of context.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
I don't expect you to remember, and that's okay. But I told you about how I was struggling and how I had this great idea to start this new web series, this show called Behind the Brand, where, I was making it very selfishly because I actually desperately needed to know how to be successful, like right away, because I was struggling to keep my business afloat and
Sure.
everything that was happening. And you said to me, I'll never forget it. You said, Brian, there's no Prince Charming in this story. There's no rescue boats. No one's coming. And that just pierced my heart like no other. And I, in that moment, my whole point of view changed. I realized that I was playing the victim. I felt like one. I mean, rightfully so in some regards. But what you told me, that no one's coming, no one's going to rescue me, I need to save myself, changed that point of view into being like a survivor, right? To continue to push forward, to not give up. I changed my life.
Wow.
I want to thank you for that.
Well, don't thank me. This is you.
So my advice is to be careful about comparisons, because they just don't matter. And also to give equal weight to the silence or the applause, and definitely consider the source of each. The most important award I've received came from my young son a few years ago. He's been watching my YouTube journey and cheering me on from the sidelines. He made me this little sign and it hangs on my wall. This is everything to me. Am I an introvert or extrovert? Well, according to author Susan Cain, I might be both, and that's called ambivert. I don't like amusement parks because there's too much noise and stimulation. I prefer an empty beach with my family and the dogs. But I love the feeling of being on camera and on stage. The energy is electric, and in many ways I feel in my element. I've always been a pretty good athlete, but I probably relate more to Rudy from that football movie than the guy from Friday Night Lights. I'm scrappy, resourceful, resilient, relentless. Who inspires me? Too many to count, but I'm a sucker for the underdog, the outcast, the one who's underestimated until they weren't. I like what Roosevelt said, the man or the woman in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. I'll bet I've taken about 1 million little steps just to get me this far, and I still have such a long way to go. I'm in the struggle, just like you. And I believe if you're in it, you might as well just keep right on going until you get your reward. Because anything worth doing requires effort. And with the exception of a few lucky breaks, there is no such thing as an overnight success.
So if you take a video that's particular and personal and idiosyncratic and you make it public and no one watches it, that's not your fault. That's not what you didn't set out to make a thing that was popular. You set out to make a thing that was personal. They're not the same. And social media has taught us that likes mean people like you and friends mean people are your friends. They're not. That's just what they call that button. And so don't play into the social media trap. Instead, be really clear with yourself about what it's for. People have shown me stuff and they've said, this is my best work, but no one's watching it. And I said, did you try to make something that was viral? Because this seems pretty intellectual for something that's viral. And they're like, no, I wanted to make something intellectual. I said, so then what are you complaining about? You made what you wanted to make. You have to forgive the audience for not wanting to go on the journey that you want them to go on because they don't want to go.